この魚が今多少匂いのはいがあります。
Jang-Chi.
はい。
Is there a word for if you kampai, like the glass?
I know why you so sore of everything after seeing the show. Yeah, Sasuke. No, from Uchi, from Uchi. Yeah.
フィリピンのトゥヨというお魚です。
Yes, from same.
あ、フィリピンの。はい。
Yeah. This is.
中に入ってる魚やっぱいろんな種類があるみたいな。
You can smell ちょっと。
あ、どうぞ。ライスクランカー。
お酒 with お茶葉。はい。
パリパリ。
ありがとう。
Thank you.
こんにちは。そしてこんにちは。本日はクルジング旅する人たちにお越しいただきありがとうございます。今日はどんな気分ですか？朝ごはんは食べましたか？何を食べましたか？今朝リンゴと豆乳を一杯飲みました。昨日の晩ご飯覚えていますか？昨日のことなのに夕食の記憶って意外と曖昧ですよね。私はリミンチェン、台湾出身です。今あなたが聞いているこの声は AI 音声ソフトで作られたものです。台湾は小さくて美しい島です。美しい小さな島。これは私たちが自分たちを紹介するときよく使う言葉です。島は地理的な事実でも美しいはどうでしょう。昔ポルトガルの航海士たちが海から浮かび上がる台湾の姿を目にして驚きと感動でこう叫んだそうです。フォルモサ。ポルトガル語でフォルモサは美しいという意味です。でもその言葉の中には島も国も含まれていません。15世紀、大航海時代ポルトガルの船乗りたちは旅の途中で出会った場所によくフォルモサと名付けました。なんだか道ですれ違ったきれいな人に思わず口笛を吹いてしまう、あるいはうわめっちゃきれいと無意識につぶやいてしまう、そんな感じにも似ています。さて、ビューテイフォルモサ関係役の皆様、私たちのビューテイフォルモサパフォーマンスが始まる前にいくつかお願いがあります。上演中はビューテイフォルモサスマートフォンの電源をお切りください。光や音がパフォーマンスの妨げにならないように。上演中撮影録画は禁止されています。主演後の交流や試食の時間は撮影録画可能です。SNS にアップロードの際はぜひクルージング旅する人たちをタグ付けしてください。飲食もできます。私たちがご案内するときに公演中に即興の表現が入ることもあります。そのため字幕と実際のセリフに多少の違いが生じることがありますが、どうぞ安心してお楽しみください。上演中は非常灯を消灯いたします。非常時は係員の指示に従って避難してください。さて、昨日の丸ご飯思い出しましたか？最後に、ビューティーフォルモサ感激のひとときをお過ごしください。
旅する私の下たち。耳をたくさん持っていればそれだけ多くの意味がわかるし、ただ一つのメッセージという幻想にとらわれなくても済むとトリンティ・ミンハは言う。耳の話でこれを終わらせるのはもったいない。例えば舌も。舌をたくさん持っていればそれだけ多くの味に親しみを抱くし、ただ一つの故郷の味という幻想にとらわれなくても済む。例えばここにいる私の場合。
Noong nakatira pa ako sa Tokyo tsaka sa Yokohama, sa tuwing umuwi ako sa amin, yung nanay ko lagi niya akong tinatanong, Bebe, anong gusto mong kainin? Anong na-miss mo? 5年ぐらい東京と横浜に住んでいました。I lived in Tokyo and Yokohama for around 5 years. I was a grad school student there. And every time I would go back to my hometown, my mother will always ask me, my hometown is called Pampanga. It's around 2 hours north of Manila. And every time I would go there, my mom will always ask me, what do you want to eat? What did you miss from home? And always I will answer her with the same thing. I want to eat buro. Buro tabetai. So, buro is fermented fish in rice. Actually, buro, it means both to ferment or to pickle. So, we also have burong manga, which is pickled mangoes. But in my hometown, when we say buro, usually we mean burong isda, fermented fish in rice, or burong hipon, fermented shrimp in rice. So, saka na buro to, ebi buro. If you can imagine, it's kind of like if you eat a little bit of fish, and you eat a little bit of rice, and then you chew it, and then you spit it out. That's kind of like how it looks like. So, not everyone likes it. Actually, my sister, she doesn't like it. But I like it very much. And it's fermented food, so it's quite stinky. So, we have a joke sometimes, for example, if there's a big gathering, and then there's someone from outside of our hometown. Ming-Chen?
Hi.
Can I borrow you?
Sure.
いいですか? You don't have a meeting?
No. Why? Maybe now.
Okay,
Hi,
so, ni hao? Ni hao?
Hi.
Okay, so this person, let's say, is a new boyfriend of a family member. And then the aunties will gather and see if this person will eat buro.
Aunties?
Yes, like how do you say, like an auntie test?
Oh my god.
Yes.
Why?
Why?
Oh.
Don't you have something similar?
In
Like
Taiwan?
in Taiwan, yeah, like, like a test.
I think Taiwanese maybe like test like stinky tofu.
Yeah, stinky tofu.
台湾にも同じようなテストがありますかって言ったら台湾は臭豆腐だ。
Especially for foreigners. So. So.
Yes, you take it.
How? One bite.
And then we will see if this person will like it or pretend to like it.
No, 本当。
Honto? Really?
本当美味しい。How to say 本当美味しい in Pampanga?
Manyaman.
Manyaman. めっちゃ manyaman.
Mecha manyaman? Ja, okay, you can go to my hometown.
いや、よかった。
What do you say? Like, 地元に行けます? How do I say?
地元に行けます。地元に行けます。
Okay, yeah, you can go to my hometown.
Thank you, Auntie.
Okay. So the way that we usually eat it is we take a mustard leaf. This is komatsuna. How do you say
Taiwan.
in Taiwan? Yeah.
Komatsuna 我想小松菜。
小松菜. Yeah, so this is komatsuna. We don't have komatsuna, we have mustasa. でもなんかムスターサと小松菜ちょっと似てる。じゃあ、so anyway, we take the mustard leaf and then we put the buro inside. And then we also put fried pork or fried fish. Now we have fried eggplant. We can also put fried eggplant. And usually we buy the buro like this from the market. Actually, これはちょっとおしゃれ. This is a bit fancy. なんか普段は袋だけ like it's in a plastic bag, you know, like pickles sometimes.
このブロはちょっとおしゃれなタイプで、
そうそう。
普通はプラスチックバッグにも入れちゃう。そして買う。
プラスチックバッグ Okay. I should have known that. じゃあ、で、and then after buying like this is nama, this is hako, this is raw fermented. We buy it like this and then we fry it in ginger, garlic, onion, tomato. Yeah, can you show? Yeah, like that. We fry, and then it becomes like this. And then we put it here, and then we wrap it like this.
ちょっと similar like Korean barbecue ね。
Yeah, like samgyeopsal, ne?
samgyeopsal.
But with lettuce, yeah. So yeah, like this. Would anyone like to try? いかがですか? 早い。ありがとうございました。We will bring it to you.
アンティーカミンね。
チェックです。
ね、どうぞ。どうですか？
めっちゃ美味しい？
めっちゃ美味しい。
よかった。なんか
トマトの味が。
Yes, yeah, the tomato ね。なんかbecause we fry it in a lot of tomato. So. じゃあ you can go to my hometown. So in my mind, this food is very local. So last year I was very surprised. なんか去年本当にびっくりしました when I found out that just an hour away from here, in Shiga Prefecture, there's actually very similar food. I think some of you already know, called funazushi. Charan. これです。So this is funazushi. This is also fish fermented in rice. And actually, the way to make funazushi and buro is quite similar. When I went to Shiga and I talked to the funazushi makers, I was showing them a video of how buro is made, and they were watching it, and then they said, onaji, like they were really saying, it's the same. So the basics of the fermentation technique is quite simple. You take fresh fish, you clean the fish, you coat it with salt, and then you stuff it with cooked rice. And then you layer the fish and the rice, and then you let it ferment. For buro, it takes around 3 to 4 weeks, and for funazushi, 1 to 3 years. Would anyone like to try? いかがですか? Not as fast as the buro. あそこよかった。Okay, we will prepare it for you. 今から準備します。Okay, so I think some of you already know, and for me, what was very interesting about funazushi is that it's related to the history of sushi. Ming-Chen, do you like sushi?
Yes.
What kind of sushi do you like?
What kind of? I think every kind of sushi I like. But funazushi, so not unfamiliar for me.
For you?
Yeah.
For me, my image of sushi is raw fish with rice, like nigiri, nangka, and then the nigiri, right, has raw fish, and then the sushi rice has a little bit of vinegar and sugar and sometimes mirin also. But the origin of that actually evolved from this kind of sushi, where the fish is fermented and the rice is naturally sour because of fermentation.
You already done?
Yes,
Oh,
I already
sorry. Take your time. Take time.
It's okay, they can watch how.
Okay. Ah,
Maybe with a little bit of egg.
egg. Yes. Ah. Someone here already tried or had
なんか船寿
funazushi
司
before?
食べたことある人いますか？
おお。
京都近いから。
Finish.
あ、
Okay.
どうぞ。
Maybe this also Shiga test ね。
ね、シガテスト。Is it?
いや、滋賀テストで
滋賀テスト
あるらしいですよ。
どうぞ。Okay, sorry. You can just use this spoon. はい、すいませんね。謝謝。どうですか？しょっぱいけど美味しい。
It's very so is しょっぱい salty or sour? I forgot. しょっぱい
Salty.
salty. Very salty. But you like it?
うん。
Much more rice.
Sorry.
なんか米と一緒に食べた方が美味しいかも。
そうですね。同じや。
I heard it goes really well with sake ね。
Yes, yes. Later you can have more, and we also have little bit of alcohol, so you can have.
ありがとうね。
Maybe some of you are too scared to eat both buro and funazushi, but you can smell it. Anyone interested in smelling? Can you bring the?
Yes, sure.
This is the raw buro before we fry it. Anyone want to smell?
Don't ask, just let them.
Okay, no asking, just let them smell. Okay. This one is the fish.
米 fermented
okay.
ね。But don't too. I think already some.
Now the audience is split between who wants to smell and doesn't want to smell.
We have mask ね。大丈夫です。
It is. Yes, and later you can also try it or smell it because we have more on the table. So
Rice,
later
fish,
you
salt.
can have a chance. If you didn't have a chance.
すいませんね。I think someone fell off Shiga test already.
I think so.
Just by smelling. Only by smelling already failed.
ありがとうございます。Thank you so much.
Is any there kind of KYOTO test?
京都テスト。京都にも同じようなテストあります？ Maybe next time. Yeah.
And there's actually a theory that the origin of this fermentation technique, both for funazushi and buro, came from the same place, around the Mekong River. Can you see? Okay, so yeah, the Mekong River around here, yeah, arigato. Yeah, around this area. And right now we are, yeah, the Mekong River is around here, right? And right now we are here. And The funazushi makers also told me that a long time ago, this fermentation technique was also used for inoshishi, wild boar. And then I asked Ming-Chen, Ming-Chen, is there like a similar food that we can find in Taipei?
Fermented meat. I think not so common for Taiwanese to have fermented meat. We have many kind of fermented vegetables, but I know indigenous people in Taiwan, Yuju Wen in Taiwan, they has really similar fermented meat called xilao.
Xilao.
Fermented pork with rice and salt.
So last year, we went to an indigenous restaurant in Taipei, a Taiwan restaurant. And we had shilao there. And there they serve the shilao raw in thin slices with raw onions and with, they also have it with alcohol, this rice wine.
Chancho.
1 point.
Xiaomijiu.
Yes,
Yeah,
xiaomijiu.
rice wine.
Correct. Xiaomijiu. So we were having the shila with the xiaomijiu, and then there was karaoke, right? And like very
party
colorful
vibe.
lights. And the shilao actually was very salty, and it reminded me a lot of prosciutto, like ham. And we went to a Taiwan restaurant, but actually the word shilao is ami.
Yes.
The name shilao is ami. And the atayal, they also have shilao. And maybe some other groups also have fermented pork, but maybe the technique is a little bit different, or the name is different. And shilao is very interesting to me because maybe some of you already know about the Austronesian migration theory. So there's a theory that from here, maybe this map is better. There's a theory that from this island, thousands and thousands of years ago, the people started sailing southwards, populating this whole area. And of course, when they started sailing, they also brought their own food, culture, and navigation techniques with them. And one of the evidences we have of this migration theory are similar language patterns and similar words. So for example, there's this word, ina, which is used by the Ami, Puyuma, and Yami. And this word, ina, have you heard of this word before?
Yes.
So in my language, in Tagalog, in Filipino, we also use the word ina, and it means mother. So, ina. This word appears throughout this whole region, not everywhere, some. But yeah, ina. This word is one of the evidences we have of Austronesian migration. And then, later on, I also found out that other places in this region also have fermented fish and pork, even around here. And then I also found out that even right next to my hometown, they also have fermented fish. My hometown is around here, and neighboring provinces also have fermented fish. They have buro, burong isda, and they even have pork buro, so fermented pork. And so I realized, I guess we will never know the origin of this fermentation technique or how it was passed on, but I guess that's not really the point. I think what's more important is that the existence of this food reminds us of connections that we may have forgotten. Ginagawa ang pagbuburo para magtagal ang pagkain gamit ang panahon bilang isa sa mga sangkap nito. Iniisip ko, ano kayang mga alaala ang dala-dala ng mga sinaunang pagkain na katulad nito? Iniisip ko, naririnig kaya ito ng ating mga dila? Fermentation is a technique used to preserve, using time as one of its ingredients. I wonder, what memories do these ancient recipes hold? And I wonder, can our tongues hear them?
You're saying our tongues can hear the memory of funazushi?
And buro?
You mean the memory of fish or
Like the fish swimming?
rice?
Maybe.
Or also our ear also can taste?
Our ear can taste. Yeah, I think so.
What do you think when you hearing 巧克力? What do you think 巧克力 is?
Like a taste? You
Um,
mean? Or anything?
just straightly feel what 巧克力 is.
Can you say again?
巧克力, 巧
Um,
克力,
yeah, the last one sounds like a train station.
train station. Or how about 鱼?
Yu?
Oh,
It sounds like a really small rock.
and how about Jang-Chi? 鱼?
湯
うん
小さな岩、You
魚
bad dream
Bad dream.
悪
Bad
夢
dream?
へ
Are you
Oh.
sleeping okay?
Maybe not okay.
How about he?
Me good dream.
Uh,
He?
mm,
Like a very tall tree?
tree.
高い木
He.
He?
If
Maybe his intonation.
maybe.
if he is a flavor or a food, what do you think he is?
Flavor? He? Like very sour?
Sour. How about Jang-Chi?
Yeah.
He.
Candy.
Candy.
Candy?
Yu and he both means fish in Taiwan. Sakame?
Sakana?
Sakana? Hai, hai, sakana.
Why there's two?
Yu is Mandarin and he is Taiwanese.
ユがマンダリンで、ヒが台湾語。
はい。
はい。
はい
で、魚。
はい、はい、はい、はい、はい。And 巧克力 is chocolate in Taiwan.
巧克力.
うん。
Is it Mandarin or?
Mandarin for Taiwanese, I think it's chocolate.
Taiwanese chocolate.
I think Taiwan had chocolate, 巧克力 from Japanese time. How to say 巧克力 in Philippines?
We say chocolate.
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 Chocolate is Japanese, ne?
Yes, yes.
What do you think, Ness? If you hear 巧克力 and chocolate, which for you 美味しい?
I think 巧克力.
どうして?
It sounds a bit like fancy, like 巧克力みたいな.
So chocolate.
No?
So chocolate more like not fancy?
Like chocolate, like it's very like that. I don't know.
To me, it's opposite. When I first time hearing chocolate, more like even like a chocolate milk. I will think about chocolate milk. And how about 巧克力 and chocolate?
For sure, it's chocolate. For me, like chocolate really sounds good because when I think of chocolate, it's not a candy chocolate. It's more the chocolate that we use for champurado.
What's chocolate?
Champurado is it's a breakfast dish that we have. It's sticky rice with chocolate, like sticky rice porridge. Sticky rice soup. I don't know, English doesn't work, but chocolate okayu, like porridge, chocolate.
Hot?
Hot, yeah, and we have it for breakfast. So yeah, a lot of kids, it's their favorite, because you can eat chocolate for breakfast.
For sure, もちろん.
It's like a oatmeal. chocolate oatmeal. And yeah, I have memories of like waking up in the morning because I can smell the chocolate because my mom is making champurado. And a common way to eat the champurado for adults specifically is we have it with salty dried fish called tuyo. I know it sounds weird, rice and chocolate and fish, but actually it makes sense if you give it a chance. Because the sweetness of the chocolate really pairs well with the very salty fish. It's kind of like salt in salted caramel. And actually, you can have a chance to try it later because right now we are making the champurado with the chocolate. And then we also have the salty dried fish here, and you can put it on top of the champurado later.
It's now buku in the pot.
Buku is okayu?
No. Buku is the sound of bubbling.
You mean like buku, kind of?
Yes. When I see buku, I always imagine Korean cuisine.
Korean cuisine has so many kind of soup, ne?
Yes. Korean soup is always buku. Like jjigae, samgyeopsal, kamjatang, solrontang, kuppa.
Solrontang, this is also kind of kuppa, ne?
But this is just rice.
Okay.
Not kuppa.
Okay.
Rice with water.
Hi.
Yeah, they boil it like you wouldn't believe. My grandma kept an eye on the temperature of the food.
Always?
Always. When it wasn't warm enough, she said it needed to be warmed up more.
Kawaii ne, nanka.
Really grandma, ne?
Yeah, really grandma.
Grandma style.
Very strict with the temperature.
Like, because you know the Korean cuisine in Taiwan is really famous, and people really crazy for Korean food.
In Taiwan. 台湾でも韓国の料理はすごい人気みたいです。
But the name you just mentioned, like samgyeopsal, jjigae,
Yes.
some kind of this. Kind of my first time hearing this name itself, and it really sounds hot. Sounds hot. Also, I think Jang-Chi is Korean name. Jangchi.
No. Thank you.
Is it?
Yeah. So my name is written with Chinese character. Pronounced Nagaharu in Japanese, Jang-Chi in Korean.
Jang-Chi.
Nagaharu.
My parents named me as Japanese reading.
Nagaharu.
So, you're Korean?
The rice is now getting softer and softer. Even the water is becoming sweeter.
でしょう。ですよね。
What?
Because you said Jang-Chi is the pronounce of the Japanese name Nagaharu, but you always kind of use Jang-Chi for everywhere in my knowing. So you're Korean or you're
Yeah.
Or?
My grandparents and great-grandparents came from Korea. Some Korean customs still remain in my daily life. Like chesa.
Chesa?
Yeah. Ancestral rites. Called chesa.
All right.
Yeah. In Japan, people like me are referred to as Zainichi Korean. When I was 25 years old, I was naturalized as a Japanese citizen. Before that, my legal name was Ming-Chen Lee.
Ming-Chen Lee.
Jang-Chi, what do you mean by legal name?
Oh, the fish fries smells good. And yeah, be careful.
It's good today, ne?
Yes. 何ですか？
なんかlegal name って何ですか？
在日コリアンの名前の使い方は人それぞれによって異なりますが、本名と通称名がある場合があります。本名とはここでいうパスポートなど公的認証を受けた名前のことです。日本は朝鮮半島で植民地政策の一環として朝鮮人に対して名前を日本風に変更すること、名字を日本式に家族全員同一にして新たな氏を作る創始改名という政策を1940年に施行しました。
Why did Japanese government do like this?
Let's remove small bones of the fish so no one gets hurt.
1936年から1942年まで中戦総督であった日本人の南次郎は1940年6月12日東京で開かれた中央朝鮮協会主催の晩餐会で次のように語ったらしいです。中鮮の祖先中心主義は我が皇室中心主義とは敬愛入れ布であるから皇室中心主義の思想に反乗りするし制度を創生し真の意味におけるない戦一体の実を挙げるのが趣旨である。
You know, I think something similar happened in the Philippines around the 1800s. During the Spanish colonization time, everyone was required to have Spanish-style names.
So Ness is Spanish name.
My last name, Roque.
Roque is Spanish name. Roque.
Have everyone Spanish name?
That time, maybe almost everyone.
Yeah. After Japan's defeat in 1945 and Korea's liberation, these Japanese Irish names given Koreans were legally abolished on Korean Peninsula. However, these names have continued to use as common name called 通称名. Yeah. These names can be registered on official documents such as driver's license and residence certificates. This can be also used in everyday situations, including contracts and school settings.
But if Zainichi Korean are not required to have a Japanese name, why do they choose to have 通称名?
That's because there could be less discrimination. When I tried to rent a room in Tokyo, I was also refused because of Korean name. Yeah, but 20 years ago.
No, but still, that's still recent. And maybe until now, sometimes it can happen. I think maybe 通称名 is kind of like a, how do I say, like a cloak, you know, like a jacket that people can wear so that they can blend in. You know, on paper, your 通称名, you can be like, your name is Japanese, so it blends in.
Sounds like some Doraemon props.
Doraemon props.
Oh, you can invisible or change your, you know, how people look at you. But to me, I think more like a uniform that Japanese ask them to wear.
Have you ever heard Taiwanese with Japanese style name among maybe your grandparents' generations?
My grandparents, their name just normal Taiwanese name, but I had the impression there was a neighbor, very old lady living alone, and every time we see each other, she was really kind and always asked me to call her Yuki-ama. Hey, Ama, Yuki-ama-san. Ama means grandma in Taiwan, and Yuki means snow, ne?
Yes. 雪山さんっていう人、優しいおばあちゃんがいた。That sounds like a nickname.
I'm not sure. I didn't saw her, ID card or passport or something.
Taiwan was also under Japanese colonial rule.
Yes.
Philippines was also under Japanese rule around 3 years.
Korea 35 years.
35.
Taiwan, as I know, 50 years.
And I mentioned like Spanish name, right? Spain, Spanish colonization was actually 333 years in Philippines.
300?
Yeah, 333. It's easy to remember.
So many generations.
How many generations?
It's very,
何世代だろう?
So like you kind of never know what's the name before Roque of your family.
And the name Philippine comes from King Philip. So even the name of the country.
It's also kind of foreigner name.
So.
From Spain.
From Spain, King Philip.
スペインのキングフィリップからフィリピンは作られたそうです。And also in Taiwan, Japan implemented a different name changing system called 改正名 in 1940.
Same year with Korean?
Same year and same date.
Same date?
コリア総司改名、台湾改正名。
Same year, same date. さすが日本人。
さすが。
さすがの使い方がちょっと。
でしょ?
Like very systematic.
Yeah, kind of.
Individuals were allowed to change to Japanese stylish name when they met certain conditions.
Like what?
For example, one condition is that they had to come from a household where Japanese was commonly spoken.
Like N1 test. Your Japanese need to good enough to have a Japanese name.
Maybe like that, ne?
ビールください。
どうして
皆さん、本日はチャンポラードだけでなく、さらに今日限定、人生で一度きり、二度と再現できない旅する下のチャンポラード寿司をお届けします。早い、まだ、ちょっとまだ早かった。魚とチョコレート、発酵のゴールデンコラボレーション、旅する下の限定料理です。観客美食とパフォーマンスアートを融合させ、観客の目で料理を味わい、下は国境塾を旅します。皆さん、何か匂い届いてますか？もう届いてますか？十分ですかね？でももうちょっとこの発酵の匂いを皆さんと共有したいです。いいですか？ちょっとお待ちください。
They didn't actually reply.
Yeah.
It's kind of beer boost, ne?
Yeah, I don't know what's in here. Why he's
急に元気ね? Why you also?
いきますよ。
Just normal beer.
準備はいいですか？
怖い。
チャンポラード in smelling way.
You can
どうです？匂い届いてます？
Kind of fish and
届いてる？ OK？ 全然ダメ？全然ダメ？あれ？どうです？いまいち？ 毎日
ちょ。
気をつけてね、気をつけてね。
ごめんね。
ごめんね。
どうです？いった、オッケー。あ、Thank you、Thank you、オッケー、オッケー。大丈夫ですか？ Yes、Thank you。それではミュージックスタート。
本当に元気ね。
ね、本当に。
どうして？
I don't know。そのビール普通。I don't know why。わ、すごい。すごい。
一緒に盛り上げよう。一緒に盛り上げようよ。
オッケー。
ステージ。旅するしたチャンポラード寿司はお寿司の起源をたどりながら植民地時代の航路と過去現在の時空を重ね合わせた実験的作品です。はい。
いや。
お寿司はもともと東南アジアから中国経由で稲作とともに伝わったとされています。最初の原型は先ほど紹介した船寿司のように魚を米の中にだけ漬け込むガレ寿司でした。江戸時代にその後米酢が広く販売され気軽に酸味をつけれるようになりました。今日は東京近郊にある島新島から草屋を直接に調理に用います。この草屋は塩水を長年使い回し自然発酵させた草屋汁につけられて作られています。Yes, please introduce this chocolate.
Taipei. Galing sa Pilipinas. Mula nung panahon ng Kastila. Galing sa Mexico. Taipei.
More sweetie.
Sweetie?
Yes, come on.
Taipei. Chocolate galing sa Pilipinas. Mula sa panahon ng Kastila. Mula sa Mexico. Chocolate. Taipei.
Ming-Chen,
哎，
now it's your turn.
ごめん
Please
ね。
show this rice, Taiwanese rice.
这个是台湾的米，然后OK，
Yeah, no, 3時。Yeah, energy.
这是台湾米啊，什么是台湾米呢？台湾米就是在日本时期的这个日本人日本人、台湾人、日本国妹、台湾国妹，他们就杂交了，然后杂交就混种出蓬莱米，蓬莱米就是冷肉也很好吃，为什么好吃？因为它杂交了嘛，所以它又香又甜又 Q， 所以这组成今天的Champurado， 因为 Champurado 要用纸币嘛的 sticky rice 来做因为台湾米也很 Q， 然后既适合做寿司，又适合做 Champurado， 是最适合今天的米啦。疲れね。はい。
Now your rice is mixing with vinegar.
OK， making sushi ね。
Feed this grocery rice coated with vinegar.
はい、
Still sour not enough.
OK， good。
Try making that with the tangy.
OK。
tangy. その後、関西地方、特に大阪のような商業都市で見た目の形が重視され、木枠を使って形を整えるおし寿司が登場しました。これからこの道具を使ってチャンポラー寿司を作ります。
はい、ウィニングね。
濃厚で熱い内容の風味が東洋のうまみや酸味と混ざり合います。ワクワクしませんか？さあ、一体どんな料理になるのでしょうか？
どうしようかね。そういうやつ。
ちょっとお話しすいません、なんかちょっとスタッフ音楽ストップしてください。Please stop them。すいません、ありがとう。ちょっとちょっと I want to discuss something。
What?
メールください、also。
そうかな。ちょっと確認したいことがある。You're going to put vinegar in the champurrado. Why?
I want to make a new dish.
I'm not sure about adding vinegar to the champurrado. Jang-Chi, I taught you this recipe. My mother will kill me if she finds out that we added vinegar to the champurrado.
Your Ina?
Yes.
Oh, Ina's kibishi also.
I'm not adding vinegar to champurrado. I'm adding vinegar to sushi rice.
Okay, but you will, to this sushi rice, you will add the champurrado.
And saya and tuyo also.
本当？
やばいよね。
Yeah, I'm not sure, but
I don't want people to eat the champurrado sushi and it tastes too weird.
This is an artwork. This is not a restaurant.
So your artwork is like this. あなたのアート作品はそんな感じ？
what is it?
This is our artwork.
まあもちろんですけど、まあだから気になる。Of course, that's why I care. I mean, I think for a lot of people, maybe it's their first time to hear about Champurado, and it's their first time to have a chance to try it. I don't want people to eat the Champurado sushi and they will think that Filipino food tastes terrible.
Would it be terrible? Would it?
Maybe they will like it.
Yeah, sour, sweet, something.
Maybe, but that's not how Champurado is supposed to taste like. Champurado doesn't have vinegar.
Yes, sure.
でも you really want to do this.
For us.
で、多分maybe if it's clear to the audience that Champurado sushi is a combination and Champurado is different. ね、違うですよね。それははっきり。So if it's clear that Champurado sushi and Champurado are different, and they will have a chance to try the Champurado. そのままのChampuradoも they can try.
Yeah, sure.
So I guess if it's clear, it should be okay. じゃあ大丈夫。
Let's try. ごちそうさまでした。
台湾だけではない。私は世界のどこででも日本人として扱われる。大学の卒業旅行でローマ、バルセロナ、パリを周遊した時のことだ。旅行が終わりに近づく頃、仲間の一人が梅干しが恋しいと言ってみんなで笑った。パスポートとか国籍なんかよりもこういう時に梅干しが恋しくなるかどうかは日本人のアイデンティティなんだな。もちろんその意味で私は間違いなく日本人なのだと思う。けれども梅干しやお茶漬けのような食べ物をお袋の味と呼ぶとなると戸惑う。
16世紀のポルトガル人の目には台湾はきらびやかなフォルモサ美しい島と映っていました。明清時代の中国文学において台湾は蓬莱仙島であり怪獣の桃源郷として描かれていました。しかし実際に島へ派遣された中国の移民や官僚たちは台湾を文明の及ばぬ地、疫病の地、あるいはトゥーハンとして記述しています。17世紀にオランダ人が台湾を占領したとき、民進の漢人は台湾をこうモートゥーと呼びました。一方でオランダ人は台湾を台湾マと呼びました。これはオランダ人が上陸した際に 現地の白屋族が彼らに向かって発した言葉だそうです。大湾の本来の意味については資料によって様々な推測があります。白屋族の集落名であった可能性、海辺や砂州などの地形を表す言葉であった可能性、船に乗る人々、外から来るものを意味した可能性、さらには向こう側という解釈もあります。なぜなら当時、漢人もオランダ人も常に向こう側から、つまりここではない場所からやってきたからです。大湾はオランダ人による白屋語のロマ字表記であり、その後漢人移民によって翻訳された音となりました。オランダ人が台湾に来て宣教師がロマ字で白屋語を学ぶようになる以前に、白屋語には文字がなく交渉のみで伝えられていました。
この音声ね、AI 生成だって言われてるんだけど、実際のところ AI が処理してるのは声のデータだけなんです。内容そのものは人間の理名シーンである僕が書いて、それをソフトに入れて読み上がさせてるんです。この 1,2 年、皆さんはどうですか？人間の理名シーンである僕はますますネットの書と動画リルにはまって抜け出せなくなっていて、頭の中も時々のウフみたいな現象が起きてる気がするんです。台湾人の僕は台湾か語を使うものだからか、アルゴリズムはいろんな中国語圏の書と動画をどんどん投げ込んできます。気づいたら自分の喋り方とか考える時の言葉が少しずつ変わってきてて、口に出してからあれなんでこんな言い方しちゃったんだ、台湾か語では本来どう言ってたっけって思い出せなくなることもあるんです。人間の類名心、この下もまるでのウフみたいにだんだん散らばって腐っていく感じがして、日本には言霊の信仰があって、言葉には魂や力、神が宿るって信じられてますよね。映画陰陽師でもこう言ってました。名前は最短の呪文だって。前に日本の寿司チェーンスシローが台湾でキャンペーンをやったんです。身分証の名前を酒に変えたらサモンが食べ放題になるっていう。政府の統計では台湾全体で331人が本当に名前を酒に変えたそうです。これをジャンチとネスにはなしたらもうめちゃくちゃ踊りていました。自分たちの国じゃ絶対ありえないって。
这个是冷泡茶。これは水出しお茶です。把茶叶放在饮用水里面8到12个小时。如果你前一天放到冰箱里面，隔天起床就有冷泡茶可以喝。在台湾，这是非常普遍也非常常见的喝茶的方式。因为台湾很热嘛，然后我觉得台湾人可能也很懒的关系，所以在超商啊、超市啊、餐厅随处可见，很好买。今天我们使用的是来自宇治的茶叶，一个是富夏茶，卡布塞茶，卡布塞茶，另外一个是红茶，紅茶，京紅茶。いかがですか、みんな？
いかがですか？誰か
另外，在我手上的这个呢是冷泡的茶酒，跟冷泡茶的逻辑一样，但使用酒一样放8到10个小时。有没有想要喝酒的朋友？好，还有人吗？还有人吗？好 ，OK，good， 好，就懂。今天我们使用的是一个是朗姆酒，一个是伏特加，一个是来自金门的高粱。伏特加是用马铃薯或谷物蒸馏的， 另外，高粱也是蒸馏酒，可是它是来自台湾金门的高粱这个谷物。那金门是一个战争跟军事的重要基地，所以今天这个金门的高粱甚至被称作为战酒。高粱，はい、ありがとう。Very strong, take it slow, 気をつけて。And this is vodka with goja. Also strong, so take it slow. No rush 呢。在这个16世纪，葡萄牙人对台湾喊出福尔摩沙的这个故事，对台湾人是非常熟悉的。但在2017年，台湾的中研院学者爬书历史资料，国际上的外文的历史文件，发现，在16世纪葡萄牙人喊福尔摩沙的，可能其实不是台湾，比较有可能是现在叫做冲绳 （Okinawa） 的另外一个岛屿。在 Okinawa 叫做福尔摩沙的时候，台湾其实叫做小琉球。不过，在17世纪荷兰人登陆台湾并统治台湾的那个时候，以及之后，全世界就用福尔摩沙指认和称呼台湾。在1896年的时候，台湾出产的乌龙茶，甚至用福尔摩沙乌龙的名字出口全世界，是当时的顶级乌龙。finish no すごいね。どうですか？辛です。すみませんね。在我跟宇治的茶农聊天的时候，对，就是 Ness 跟 Shiga 的师傅聊天，我在跟宇治的茶农聊天的时候，我得知了一个非常震惊的事实。宇治的茶农跟我说，他摊位上所有的茶叶，不管是红茶、抹茶、乌龙茶，所有的茶，全部都是用同一种茶树的茶叶，从他们茶园的茶树做出来的。所以它是用透过不同的发酵烘焙的手段，将同一种茶叶变成红茶、抹茶、乌龙茶。对于从小就非常喜欢喝茶，甚至以茶的气味、口感为认同的台湾人的我来说，是非常震惊跟新奇的事实。因为红茶这么浓醇，乌龙茶这么浓醇，但同时绿茶这么清爽，抹茶这么优雅温醇，它们竟然可以来自同一种茶树，这让我有一种同样的人好像会在不同的生长环境下变成不一样的性格的想象。我想到我曾经看过一个纪录片，在讲说有一个孤儿的3胞胎，他们因为是孤儿嘛，所以有人就想说把他们做实验，让他们被3个不同社经地位家庭领养。成长的过程里面，他们互相不认识，但他们有非常相似的口味的喜好，外观的倾向，甚至挑另外一半的品味、花钱的方式、价值观、人生观等等。但因为他们在不同家庭长大的关系，到了晚年，他们是走向完全不一样的命运。在我细汉的时阵，有一段时间，我就经常阮妈妈就经常煮迄生机饮食 （organic food）。无像讲 Ness 会当偏到巧克力豆，从Champurado会醒过来。在我细汉的时阵，我的早顿拢是冷过青菜、木薯芽、加上果汁，没有过滤，直接啉落。去年阮头一摆来台北见面的时阵，我带大家去新天宫。Yuju伫咧新天宫附近买了米糕，Ness一看到就讲：米糕，阮菲律宾嘛有米糕呢。
米糕
嘛是甜的，嘛是紫米做的。伊讲伊生日的时阵，因阿嬷经常做伊食。今年4月的时阵，阮伫咧升旗 Colonization 斗阵排练，逐工阮拢做伙食饭，斗阵煮饭。有一天我食到尼古加咖的时阵，想到我的阿嬷，豆油甜甜咸咸的滋味，阮妈妈的妈妈。头一摆听到Champurado sushi的时阵，我咧想， 是虾米款的人会把这两项物件放做伙？是甲阿巴卡多放伫咧寿司内底的人共款，还是甲巧克力豆放伫咧卤肉饭共款？有一段时间，台湾有足侪奇怪的拉面，榴莲拉面烤鱼拉面拉面。有人咧讲，迄是台湾人咧报仇，因为日本人甲纳豆放伫咧塔比欧卡珍珠奶茶内底。Make sense 呢？
肉じゃがを作る。母の好きだった豚汁も一緒にお茶も入れよう。湯の入ったタイミングで母も起きてくる。いい匂いにつられたわと眠たそうな声で母が言う。今朝東京に到着したばかりの母に私は言う。もうすぐご飯が炊き上がるよ。食卓で私たちを迎え合う。私はなるべくさりげなく言ってみる。台湾にできた。私の肉じゃがを頬張る母の反応は曖昧だ。パパがママによろしくねって。母は箸を止めない。小さい我又想去日本。だから私は父がそう言っていたことまでは母に伝えない。君に会えたからまた日本に行きたくなった。父もまた日本を避けていたのである。私が長い間台湾を避けていたように。もしも父が本当にまた日本に来てくれたのなら、出来たての肉じゃがを差し出していたい。さあ、食べるしてください。
インチェン、ご飯だよ。もうすぐできるよ。みんなご飯だよ。
You're saying almost ready?
Go han dayo, it means let's eat.
That's it?
Go han dayo. How do you say go han dayo in Taiwan?
Taiwan 吃饭了 Mandarin
Slower.
吃饭了
吃饭了。
吃饭了
吃饭了。That is
Mandarin.
Mandarin.
And for Taiwanese is 吃饭啊吃饭啊
吃饭啊。
台湾
吃饭啊
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 吃饭啊。
Really different. How about Philippines?
We say kain. Kain na.
Kain na.
Kain na.
Kain na.
And in
our hometown,
in my hometown, you say mangan.
Magan.
Mangan or mangan tamu.
Mangan tamu.
Mangan tamu. Mangan tamu.
The most golden moment has come. Come over.
Oh my god.
さあ、一番大事な瞬間です。
一番瞬間ね。
すごい。
Looks okay ね。
Looks okay. まあまあまあ。おー。お。
マスターだよね。The chocolate dripping.
Yeah, it's
really,
really elegant. Oh,
shining. Wow.
oh. So,
I know.
なんか because this is our special artwork for this performance,
For sure.
they need to try it, right?
Yes.
じゃあ、ご飯だよ。
Kain na?
早班啊，
ご飯だよ。
吃饭了。
早班啊，吃饭了。
吃饭了。
Let's eat.
Let's eat.
Mangan tamo.
If I have noodles,
Yeah, we also
can
say
you-
ご飯だよ. Yeah,
Oh.
I'm not sure.
ご飯 is
But we
rice.
say mangan tamo.
Oh, okay.
Yuju, come.
De, 本当
で、
に
はい。
ご飯だよ。
ご飯だよ。
Please eat. 食べるしてください。Yes, come. Yes, これはオリジナルのチャンポラードです。はい。And we can put a little bit of fried
ミルクも
ちょっとだけ。あとミルクもそうこんな感じ。ミルクも。
Condensed milk.
Yes, please try the Champurado sushi. Yes, this is the traditional
寿司
one.
ありがとう。
どうぞすいません。Okay. はい、どうぞすいません。いただきます。お召し上がりください。Mangan tamo.
Ocha or sake? Or sake? Both? Okay, try ocha first.
はい。
Anyone
どうぞ。
Maybe this photo? This more most light.
どうぞ。
どうぞ。
Spoon is over here.